So good afternoon and thank you for being here. Thanks to Deepak actually for inviting me. This is a different domain from where I am from, and yet there are a lot of learnings, from the other domain, which is non-kitchen, because the consumer is kind of moving across all these categories, and they're expecting similar expectations in terms of how they are serviced in a retail store. So first about me, my name is Surender Gnanaolivu, and I've been I started my career actually in the Indian Air Force, as a flight lieutenant looking after surface-to-air missiles, and then I've got a design background, so from there I moved into advertising, and then I was at Shopper Stop when they started many years back, where we started this concept of store planning. This is way back in '97. Store planning, store design, visual merchandising, in-store communication, customer service, all that started. I spent some time in Reliance Retail, bringing in some of the international brands like Vision Express, Hamleys, where you understood how important it is to understand a consumer in terms of which market they are in. Though a lot of training happened, a lot of studies happened overseas, but how do you kind of interpret it for the Indian market? The customer is everything at the end of it, right? How the customer behaves, how they want. And post that last 10 years, I've been a consultant in retail experience design. I work very closely with a large retail design company called 4 Dimensions. We do a lot of projects for various types of categories, right from farm equipment to Mama Earth. You got Mokobara, you got a lot of the D2C brands, which have the advantage of consumer data. Using that, they're coming into offline retail. They have a huge advantage. So where the consumer, experience expectations are also different. So it was great actually in the morning to hear the kind of growth expectations in the kitchen market, 3x to 24% plus CAGR. 50% plus luxury and ultra luxury segment. So which to me, it's a kind of a validation that the customer experience has become that much more important. All touch points, irrespective of it's just a kiosk or it's going to be a showroom, it's going to be a design studio, you got the same consumer actually moving across. So what I actually have here is, how do you approach retail environments in terms of how do you engage with customers, how do you keep them, the current consumer, how do you keep them engaged, how do you keep them connected with the brand. So there are a lot of learnings from various categories. I brought and tried to bring in relevance to the kitchen industry also. Many of the examples are from non-kitchen, but again it's the same consumer, same expectations. So bear me out on that. So I started the story of this, in Melbourne, when my daughter was studying there. We just went out in the evening, just walking around, and then I came across this N2 Extreme Gelato store. And we walk in and we see these people wearing these protection glasses, doing some stuff. There's a lot of hissing sound, and they're stirring this, ingredients. And then they asked me, would you like to have, it's an ice cream shop by the way, asked me that how do you want to customize your ice cream. And they had these, see these typical laboratory, what do you call these? Jars, flasks, yes, flasks. And said, so we picked up some random stuff, put it together, and there was a huge dramatic, theatric way of putting it, the whole thing together, hissing sound. And then I was given the ice cream, and just before it was handed to me, they put in this, syringe full of chocolate. Ice cream was great. I don't recall how great it was because I had some very good ice cream in India too, but the experience remains in my mind. I'll never ever forget it all my life. So I think to create, brand connect, the experience is so important. Therefore, the journey is expected to be as enjoyable as the destination itself. You'll see what's happening in the airports too, right? If you see the T2 in Bangalore, it just blows your mind. Or even some of the Delhi, the T3, I think here. Fantastic. So you expected people come much earlier, and thanks to technology, people have more time because you use Digi and walk in, you get another 15-20 minutes more, and then you're walking to stores there, people are eating, they're walking, doing all kinds of stuff. So people want to do a lot in a short time, and that's where I think the stores add these kind of travel. There is a different science itself, how you kind of engage with the customer in the short time and are able to convert this customer quickly in a short time. So the whole thing about how technology is used, how store design, visual merchandising, how the customer service is done itself is different, because now the consumer wants to do a lot more in a short time, buy a lot more, spend a lot more, but not willing to waste their time. So this is what it is. So if you look at the current consumer, choice, anything, anywhere, anytime, information, insights, data, research, everybody wants that. Any brand you can you will Google it and try to find out what this brand is about, what others are talking about the brand. You want data, you want research, and then you take a call, right? You have this web rooming, showrooming. Web rooming is how you go online and buy in a store. Showrooming is other way around. You actually see in a store and buy online. Other way around is you see online and then come and buy in a store. Everything customers do. Connect. They are digital native. It's age agnostic, by the way. People keep talking about just Gen Z and millennials, but even my 80-plus-year-old mother is buying online, and she also does all this research and all that before buying anything online. Social media is a very, very big deal in terms of community. Experience, they're looking at humanized, meaningful experiences. There were some years back when people experimented with these large digital screens which you interacted with. There were floors in which you could go and walk around, something happens on the floor. People spend a lot of money there, right? It's all gone now. You're saying, give me stuff which is meaningful to me is what has become important. And personalization. In mass devices, right? Every mobile is personalized. Every single interaction that we have with these large online players is personalized. And once you go and buy online, they know they have your data, they know how you behave, you have all the digital marketing happening post that. So meaningful, memorable is what people are looking at. And responsibility, this is a big one that's come up. Sustainability, right? The planet, the people, we may think it's fine. I know many retailers, it seems to be more expensive. But I think once everybody is going to have to adopt it. I think there is going to be a mandate from the government. It's already there across the world. There are brands like IKEA, H&M, and Marks and Spencers who started integrating it into the. I'm sure that there are a lot of kitchen brands too. I was talking to this India head of IKEA in one of the conferences, Suzanne, and her. She's called Country Manager and Chief Sustainability Officer. That's her. Designation. And I asked her, what happens, did you ever think if you didn't do sustainability, how much more would it have cost you in terms of operations? She just looked me in the eye and said, there is no other way for us. I never thought of it. This is it. I mean, right from the first step in the management to the last, selling it to the customer, we keep this in mind. So in terms of the product, in terms of the vendor selection, in terms of operations, energy efficiency, and everything is part of their DNA. Consumers are are more worried about the planet, and you can see that happening. Global warming, water shortage, and all this stuff happening. So that is a very, very big deal that one needs to look at. So there are 8 key ingredients, which, in my experience, working with all these brands, which consumers are looking at. Very seriously. Right? First is get personal. How important it is to get so close to your customer that you tell them what they need well before they realize it. So it's about understanding your customer so well, getting personal with them, personalization. It's so important. And to do that, there are 3 things one looks at. One is the goal of the customer, a life objective sought in the relationship with the brand. Which could be, I want to look stylish, I want to have good lifestyle, I want to have enough time, what they call is time abundance. You want to have more time for yourself. That could be your goal. What are the gains from the product that you get? These are product benefits from engaging with the brand. Finally, the pains prevent a seamless and happy experience. So when you plan a design space, irrespective of it's a store or a showroom or a kiosk or anything, these are the three things that are very, very important for the design, person engaging the design to look at. Just to give an example, if you look at this, the goal is to have an enjoyable home life, right? For a good kitchen. That's going to be the goal. Gain is realizing my design vision. This is what I'm gaining from the brand. The consumer comes, the customer comes with the design in mind. Sometimes they don't have a design in mind, but they kind of generally know what they're going to like. Realizing my budget, many times what happens is, I know that it's happened to me too. You go and look at it and I want all this, and finally you end up saying it's going to cost so much more than what you wanted to spend. And informed decision making. Is this the trend? Am I going for the trend? There's a lot of information that I want to be sure, that the gain I'm getting from engaging the brand is the best that I can get. And what are the pains? How long is this going to take? How much will it cost? How do I get it done painlessly? These are the pain which is there, right? I think one has to address all these three and say that in that 1.5 hours, with what I believe somebody while looking for a kitchen would take up 1.5 hours, 2 hours, maybe more than that. When they're spending in during that time, we have to be very conscious about this. So there are many different things one has to look at to be able to address these. So this is a store we had done, I was involved in for JSW One Home. So they wanted to be like a project manager for somebody building a new home. Now this is not the luxury market. So what happens is for new homes, people do want to know that, am I going for the right material? Am I going for the right RCC? Am I going for the right electrical fittings and so on? So we kind of studied that, and so this is what it is. It's the at the entrance to the store. But the main thing was this deconstructed home, which is what you entered through before you went into the studio, which kind of told you different kinds of things. How an RCC slab, what is the kind of cement that you go for, how a column is done, the different kind of fittings that are used inside, what to look for, how does the cabling or the conduiting happens, what is a good conduit, and so on. So that the end customer is completely aware of what they're going for. They get educated in this. So this is where the pains of the consumer is addressed right there. I'm sure that even in the kitchen industry, there are a lot of pains which are there. It could be hardware, it could be water resistancy, and so on. There are a lot of things which you list out. How do you educate the consumer so that the pains are addressed? And then, of course, the very ergonomically designed space where one gets to interact with the consumer, which is very important, right? And right around that, what are the things they look for? There could be paints, there are various other brands. How do you build, trust, saying that these are the brands we're tied up and so on. This is something which JSW advantage. So in that one journey, we looked at times spent of about 1.5 hours and said that when you map the customer journey, that first is to address the pains and then to look at the gains by showing all this, so that at the end of it, they feel that this is a brand I can trust with. Second is, be a people person. I think people ignore design that ignores people, right? Many times when you design showrooms or retail stores, we don't look at ergonomy. We just take it for granted. Just to give an example of this Nike store I saw in Fifth Avenue in New York, very interesting. You see lots of stuff happening, right? When you enter, they got digital on the floor, digital on the wall, digital everywhere, and people are walking past this and right past this. Okay, you look at it and then you think, okay, it's entertaining, but right after that is this. right? People are just sitting and the kind of spends that have been done on the technology and the content that's playing there, making no sense to people. It's not really people-centric. So it's quite interesting to see these benches always full throughout the day, people sitting there and looking at their own screens when right around them they have all these immersive screens happening. So I think meaningful people-centric design is so important. Well, this is something, this store recently shut down, but it started very interestingly how I did meet this team in Seattle some years back, and they said they were addressing a problem, very people-centric problem of people not having time. In the US, people don't cook breakfast, so they need a place to quickly run in, pick up sandwich or a cup of coffee or whatever that they want, and then rush to office. And everybody is doing that, and these things are also near train stations. So what happens is there's a lot of crowd in billing. So how do you solve that problem? So they use technology and saying, can we have a system where people come in, grab stuff, and just walk out, and it gets paid for. So unfortunately, it's shut because of I think viability of the technology. But it's a fantastic concept. I had been to the store. You don't see any technology at all. There isn't a single digital screen in the store. You see nothing. It's a typical, beautifully designed, very ergonomically designed store in which you walk in, you pick up your stuff, and just walk out. So it's a problem that they solved. So the only thing the store staff had to do was just keep replenishing. So they had technology also, a lot of AI also used, which is predicting the kind of merchandise flow that's happening. They would keep coming and replenishing. So just take a look at this.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology.
So, the whole idea is telling you how they kind of very people-centric. So here are a couple of examples you'll see of the sitting area in a typical studio. You see the one on the left, see the one on the right. The right one is for luxury. Can you see the difference in the seating in both? One has got the bar stool sitting. So I'd been to one of the studios for tiles, and it was going to take about 45 minutes. And let's look at that. And if you think the consumer there is going to be above 40, 45, do you think that's going to be comfortable to sit in for 45 minutes? It looks beautiful, but it probably is not going to be convenient. The other one is that of Porsche, of course. You're looking at Porsche, you're looking at extremely high-end consumer, older consumer. So one, it's very important that you also understand who's the kind of consumer coming in, and these little things matter. This is very inconvenient to sit in. That's very convenient to sit in, right? Many times we forget that. So it has to be very people-centric. There is service, and there is also simulation. There's another problem that you've seen, that I've seen is that the lighting on the walls is different from lighting on the table. So when I pick up a swatch or something from the wall and bring it to the table, it starts looking different. And then when it gets set up in the house, it looks even different. Then the consumer says, I think I selected something else. You have put something else, So if you look at the people aspect, the humanization aspect of it, I think the lighting, the furniture, all that plays a very, very large role in, while serving a customer at the front end. So if you see this, many many stores have started doing tunable lights. It is not just where you have textures and finishes, but I've seen that even in jewelry stores. So wherever they have diamonds, you have more white light. Wherever you have the gold, it's more yellow light. And when they switch, those sections during seasons, they might certain season they might bring the diamond front. They tune the lights to make it the light being appropriate. So I think these are some examples of how one can look at. There was one of the laminate stores, veneer stores, which we were doing some intervention. Very interesting, they had a round table and they were using these large swatch cards which were quite big. They're about 2.5 feet when you open it out. But the table was only 3 feet in diameter. So the whole, you could only open one swatch card there at a time comfortably. And the interaction was very, very inconvenient. So there when they changed the table to a rectangular table, as simple as that, the interaction became much better. You must have heard of the brand called Mokobara, the new, I don't know how many have heard of that. It's a luggage brand, D2C brand. I was involved in the design of the store. So one of the things that they said very clearly was the table where customers come and evaluate the product. So the table should be the size of the largest suitcase opened out. When you open out the largest suitcase, maybe it becomes about 4 feet by 2 feet or whatever. That had this, the table had to be that size. So most luggage showrooms have got smaller table where you can't open out large, suitcases. So I think the ergonomics of the store is extremely important. Be a storyteller. The humans will react more to storytelling. You remember storytelling? It's almost like that ice cream store that I showed you. And logic is something, or data is something people don't remember. If you tell somebody, okay, that is, especially dimensions. If you tell somebody this is 6 feet, 62 inches, and ask somebody to show you where is 62 inches, most people can't tell that. But if you tell somebody that 62 inches is, little more than the height of, I'm just telling for this, little more than the height of a horse, then you'll realize. Or you say that 82 inches is a little shorter than a doorway, you remember, right? Whereas if you say logically data is given, they don't remember. So there are different ways in which this too is done. So before that, let me just show you what this something I saw in Chicago. This is a stationery guy, and he specializes in wedding stationery. So he's taken a stationery and did some storytelling. This is a stationery actually, all put together in a wedding dress. It's a beautiful way of saying that they're specialists in this line. Right? Let's look at some examples. So one could be, the story could be that of lifestyle. The story also can be of convenience inside the store, saying that how kitchens can be kind of put together to say goodbye to chaos, how it kind of gets you organized. So many stores you go to, it's an interaction between just developing your kitchen and designing your kitchen. How about going one step further? How about is something which one needs to look at? How do you bring in visual merchandising at that point to be able to tell a story to help the consumer understand what is the gain that you're going to get from the product? So if you look at IKEA's, this is one of their very beautifully done kitchen videos.
Easiest place to use them. To do that, we've broken this kitchen up into basic activities: serving and preserving, washing and waste, prepping and cooking areas. By separating your activity areas, more people can work in the kitchen at the same time. Let's start with the serving. This is where works best for dinnerware, glassware and serving bowls. Put the things you use often closer to the worktop, less so further away. This will make everyday items easy to reach. In the top drawer, cutlery inserts keep everything separate and easy to grab. A drawer for foil and wrap starts off the preserving section. The small boxes for little essentials stop it becoming the junk drawer.
So this just goes on and on. When you go to the IKEA store, you do see these videos online, and it's not just about the product. It's all about what gain it comes by actually showing this kind of information, which is very important, which can be done in a kitchen store too. And it doesn't happen. We are, even when I went to buy, it was more about the fixtures, the the kind of hardware, the kind of finishes, laminates, colors, and so on. But I could never get educated saying, is it right for me to use a 6-inch height drawer or a 4-inch height drawer? Am I making the right decision? I would not know till I go and fit it up in my house and then put something in and then realize, the larger spoons don't fit into that. Larger spoons that I use. So I think it's something very important to understand. By storytelling, one can actually take it to the next level of saying that you're buying a product that's great looking, it's within your budget, at the same time it's going to help you have a much better life. Yeah. Empower people. There's another very important one. So Sundar Pichai very nicely said, it's about technology, where technology is constantly advancing. The true value lies in technology. It's how it empowers individuals and amplifies their capabilities. So if we think that where to use technology, how do you use technology? If it can amplify the capabilities of somebody to understand a product or make a sales decision, it's worth actually investing in. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to do that. I got some examples I'll show you. So many years back, we had digitization, right? Analog became digital and then became datafication, which means all that information became data, which helped us to actually take decisions saying that these are the best things that work, this is best for somebody or the other. So data was something which you could capture of the consumer and all that. I think now what is the latest is visualization. How do you visualize something which you haven't, which is still not completed, right? So visualization has become a big deal now. Many brands are using different ways of doing that. So there are various media. You have dynamic media, which is digital screens, you have QR codes, you have responsive media, projection mapping, augmented reality, virtual reality, and so on. So it doesn't make sense. Many people say, I want to do something digital. Can I have virtual reality? Can I have this? Can I have that? You'll find that after some time you've kind of deployed it. It's not helping you do sales. I've seen many brands actually have done that. Puma, Van Heusen, who spend money to put up a lot of digital stuff and say, I'm digitized now. And then nothing really, after the first store, it doesn't get. That means it's of no use. So I think very important that it should help amplify customers. Decathlon has done beautifully. Those who've been to the Decathlon store, you'll see that how usefully they're using technology and RFID to enable that. So some examples. So this is one store called Ibovie. This is an online brand which came offline, footwear store. I'm going to quickly go through how they use technology. So they realize that customers, when they buy footwear, it's a very difficult process. If you come to buy a brown brogue, and this store has got more than 400 brands, they have over 100,000 SKUs. How do you select from that and make the person convert well? So online, what happens, you first go and do filtering, right? You go filter and say brown brogue, you say these kind of brands, you say this is the size, and then it throws up so many examples. So what they did is they had the front part of the store completely for browsing, which they call the fast experience, and you could select maybe 5-6 pairs of shoes which you want to try out, and then you see right at the back they have this. It slides down this. You pick it up, and you can decide to try it yourself, or you can ask for assistance. So they kind of cracked both online and offline. So it might make sense because decision making is a big deal actually in all kinds of, especially in customization. How do you decide what goes well with what? I think that's where visualization plays a very, very big role in deciding that. So I'm not going to go through the video here. So So IKEA has done that beautifully.
Have you ever tried to redecorate rooms with your eyes as you stroll through IKEA? Now you really can. Customers are invited to a playful interior lab. Here they can be inspired and visualize their very own personal solutions. At its heart lies an application that really brings IKEA to life, the virtual home experience, an interactive showroom that uses the immersive power of virtual reality for a whole new approach to product exploration, revolutionizing how customers engage in interior decoration. Through simple interactions, visitors can configure furniture items and room features. Photorealistic 3D renderings and high-definition binaural sound ensure a captivating 360-degree experience, one that lays the creative foundation for the customer's journey through the store. blink of an eye, they can combine different fabrics, swap the wall colour, and even change the time.
So when I spoke to somebody in IKEA and saying, how does this work? So what is the effort they put into? They put effort into visualization in terms of the realism. Most of the cost actually went into that. And how do you make it so real that in terms of pixels and the lighting and everything, so that it was almost a realistic thing. And when they had, many places they have started making the stores smaller. I've seen that even in London, they had just had usually they are about, you know that they are about 300,000 plus. London store is close to about 8,000 square feet, 6,000 square feet. And they had to kind of bring in the entire experience of IKEA into that. And there actually they were using technology. It made sense to do that. So one has to see how that works, which can help leverage the visualization to help consumer make the decision. Here's a cool idea. Actually, somebody's done projection mapping. One of the biggest issues in fabric or soft furnishing stores, especially upholstery, is how do you can show, okay, 3 types of upholstery in a 1,500 square feet store. How do you show more than that? How does the customer know that how does a certain pattern that they're selecting drape onto a furniture? So I think, I guess D-Decor or somebody's been trying this out. And so what you have is white furniture and you can just project. So this is the phygital aspect of it, right? Where you can look at, when customers actually stand in front of a chair and see how the draping in the chair is changing. It makes so much more easier rather than taking the cloth and then, you know what they do, they drape it on top of the sofa. You don't get that feel. But here you're completely empowering the customer to visualize the decision that they are making. I'm sure this also can be done with the laminates and other kind of finishes which are there, which can be done in showrooms. Yeah. So this is something which we've been working with somebody to do, wherein you touch the actual finish and then that appears on the screen there. I don't have that. Another thing which they have found out, that people like that feel of the hardware, you know, handles and others, people like to feel it. You can't show that on a digital screen. Therefore, you have an RFID here where you can pick up that handle and place it against the laminate that you decide, and the same handle appears in your 3D visualization. So it helps you not only see how the handle feels, at the same time you also see how it looks. So this makes a lot of sense. So there's somebody in Coimbatore actually doing this, saying that, finding that this makes a lot of sense. He's saying I'll be able to convert, especially the luxury segment. It's not just about seeing this bunch of handles on the wall and you're asked to decide which one. Do you want this one, that one, this one? It happened to me too, so I'm not sure which one to go for. How do I feel? So I can select and, you know, I also see how it's going to look on the design in the wall. So that makes sense in terms of having a phygital visualization in this segment. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So RFID is very simple. It's a pressure sensitive thing and you touch it, and then we have tried that, we have, you know, and it works. It easily works actually. Doing is believe. Doing is believing. You get people to do stuff, they will remember, right? So 10% of people remember 10% of what they hear, 20% of what they read, 80% of what they see, and 100% of what they do. You know, there's that's a great. I've experienced it myself when I went to this Dyson store somewhere overseas. Though I told him that I don't live there. I live in India. This is in London. He said, doesn't matter. Your store's there. Try out our product. So I went in, and they have something called the dirt bar, right? Where you pick up the dirt. You can pick up any of these bottles. He said, just chuck it on the floor. And after you chuck it on the floor, the customer is asked to actually try it out. And zook, I mean, within a couple of seconds, I still remember that. It's been years. There's a sound from that very scientific science fiction looking, the vacuum cleaner. I still remember. So because I did that, I remember this brand. I don't think I remember. I've seen so many other vacuum cleaners. I don't own one of this, but if you ask me which brand I have, I may not know which brand I have, but I remember this brand. So it's so interesting actually to have people do stuff and then they remember. Yeah. So this is a store for Somani tiles which we had built a couple of years back. And you see, one of the things we saw that customers would want to know the tiles that look like wood. How close are they to wood? So we want them to touch the tile and see. So we actually put the actual wood there and put the tile next to it. So you're making the customer come and check that out. And so this material is not real wood, but it's it's as good as wood. So we had different materials, all the ingredients that went into this. Is a great success, and we got great reviews actually from the architects and others who would tell a customer that you don't need to go for real wood for the floor. I can still give you a vitrified tile that's as good as wood. So you go there and check it out. And we also had this what we call the tile master's table. We were told the tile is as good as it is laid, how it is cut. So architects, designers, others would come and they could themselves cut the tile, a Somani tile, and see how well it can create a paper joint. And this was also a success, saying that then you can't go and say that your tile doesn't fit properly. So we made them do stuff, and they remember, definitely remember the brand and the products that it has. Sixth is, make opinions matter. Peer validation is very, very big in convincing people. And a lot of brands have started doing this. Everybody does that, right? We check out ratings, right, from Uber to anything that we buy online. We will check out the ratings before we buy it. If somebody says, the rating is 2.5, you're not going to buy it. You will look out for, in fact, you can even sort as per rating above 4. So this rating is a very big deal. Look at what this fashion brand, they've taken it to the next level using technology. CNA, it's a German value fashion brand. You see how they used technology to do this.
And a fashion like. At the stores, we had racks with special hangers that counted the likes given for their respective pieces on Facebook in real time. You liked the piece you enjoyed the most on the fan page, and that like instantly showed up on the hanger. This is how C&A helped thousands of women on the tough mission of finding the ideal outfit.
So, I know this probably is not relevant to the kitchen market. I'm just saying that how people are taking it now to the next level to bring in this peer validation. This is a very cool way, very simple. It just says 4-point stores and above. This is, of course, in Amazon books. And this is, if you see that custom favorites on the right, so use data to actually keep changing that. We're doing that with Mama Earth. So customers do come in and they come to know that what other customers are thinking. Nobody's believing a brand comes and says, we recommend to you. That doesn't work anymore. They want to know what other customers are doing. So no more in bookstores, it will say crossword recommends. Nobody, it's not that anymore. It just says bestsellers. That makes much more sense now. So I think of some ideas of saying top 10 kitchen trends of 2024, popular kitchen dimensions or modern kitchen, and these kind of stuff which are most popular. You never come to know that when you go to a kitchen. You're just talking about just yourself and the other person, and maybe you're not updated, maybe you're not going for the right trend. You do up your kitchen and then you go and see somebody else who's done it somewhere and say, oh heck, I mean, yours looks fantastic, why did I go for? So it makes sense actually at this point itself at the store itself to be able to engage with consumers and tell them these are the top trends. Top trends, laminates, top finishes, top whatever that works in the kitchen. There are different great lighting systems that are coming which go under the counters. Beautiful ones, concealed ones, the latest trends, so it's very important that this part of it, what other things makes a very, very big importance. Many brands have also started putting stars in the front end, especially the CDIT brands. You'll see that in Chroma. Chroma does it. They have these digital shelf talkers, which the digital shelf talker can be, from the head office you can control it. You can change the data. So every time they sell out a certain refrigerator or something, you go there and they get reviews. The reviews go straight to the shelf using technology. So that's a great way of, so when you see that, this particular refrigerator I'm buying is a 4.9 rating. It costs this much of money, 4.9 rating, customers have liked it, so I am much more convinced that I am making the right decision. Yeah. Take a break. Retail is not just about moving merchandise, it's also about moving people. It's not that you walk into a store, engage with them, and until their head explodes, you are kind of giving stuff to them, and then so retailers, people are coming to physical stores actually to also feel some kind of, to be inspired, to be entertained to some extent, and not to be pressurized to buy a product and get killed while you do that. So 1.5 hours you were sitting with somebody and then completely engaged, and they are in that tension of saying, am I doing the right thing or not doing the right thing? You make a choice, then you say, no, I want to do this. You have seen sometimes, you'll say, choice 1, 2, 3, and total stress. Should I go for this? Should I go for that? Should I go for this? It happens when you customize, especially in the kitchen thing. There is a lot of stress in making decisions. So how do you make that less stressful? This is in the new Wrangler store, very interesting. A lot of merchandise all around the store, but there's a QR code you scan on the wall, and you just run your phone on the wall, and that imagery starts moving. It's just something, for that kind of consumer who's coming there for, it's an image-driven product, Wrangler, fashion, so they have this very cool app that works well. This is something I saw in a store. You see that you're buying shoes, but at the same time, your size is 16, you're LeBron James and so on, Shaquille O'Neal. And there's some people who have said that break away from this thing of saying just buying a shoe. You look at it and smile. And then you start, I saw people walking around trying to stand and then saying, hey, my shoe size is that of Shaquille O'Neal, or so on, or some famous sports person. How do you do that in a kitchen store? How about this? How about looking at different cuisines? How about having videos that tell you how to make, how to utilize your kitchen to be able to, deliver a good recipe? How do you break that? Or you could also look at when you're serving coffee, can you make that a nice experience? Normally it'll come in a paper cup. Somebody will come and give it in a paper cup. Brands have started looking at that itself as a, what they're calling a ritual. You look at it and smile, hey, that pattern looks interesting. You've seen many of the coffee shops doing that. So it has come into hospitality, saying that also becomes a talking point. So you break away mentally from this stress of making decisions and then start looking at this and saying, hey, that's nice. And then you get a little mental break there. Or could you have this on the wall and you start talking about here are the different types of, could be different types of knives, could be something else, which is not just about, it's something associated with food, kitchen, but it's not just about your product. So giving the customer a break is also become an important aspect in the store for them to remember and smile when they think of a brand. So then the connection with the brand, when you have a pleasant experience with the brand, which is not very saley, it's not about completely pushing sale, that kind of helps. Love your planet. This is my last. That's so important. And somebody said nicely, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. You always think that it's not for me. Somebody else is going to do it, but the consumer does definitely, look at this. And if you do it, you're looked at differently. So here are some data, of course, it will give you basically a lot of large numbers. I'm not going to read these out. But consumers are looking at willingness to pay a premium for products and services which are aligned with the sustainability. Even in India, most likely to recommend a brand that's committed to environmental possibility, and global Indian express a readiness switch to brands championing sustainability. So this is becoming a reality. It's no more something to be done only by H&M or IKEA. Every single and India is sustainable, right? If you go, we look at this, right? We reduce, repurpose, recycle, right from our culturally also we reuse stuff. I've seen saris being used as, like a cradle where babies are there. We don't throw away paper. Paper is used for, this groundnuts and other stuff. So sustainability is there, but it needs to be institutionalized. And the brand has to be seen as somebody who's, being sustainable. We believe in saving paper. We believe in, saving water. We believe in saving electricity and so on. And just look at this Lush brand. This is a handmade soap brand. Came to India, failed. They're a UK-based brand. They opened the store in Tokyo, completely sustainable. What did they do? No paper. They hardly had any digital screens in the store. It's a completely Gen Z millennial store. And no packaging. Can you imagine beauty products without packaging? So they had these shelves which were refrigerated so that the product doesn't melt. And you had to buy the packaging and put it into the packaging and take it forward. And completely, if you also look at it in terms of their product presentation also, it's almost like a website. You did not have to touch the product to be able to know the product. Just take a look. It's very interesting how they have tremendously popular brand. So it's completely Gen Z. Somebody would think that sustainability means it needs to be all eco-friendly looking and with plants and other stuff, but it's not so. I mean, one goes actually, if you understand really how this works, energy efficient, I can just go on and on about this store. Look it up, fantastic design and experience in the store. So I was just looking up saying, how do we kind of educate our customers also come into our kind of, the kitchen stores, eco-friendly materials. You could look at how you could save energy saving in the kitchen. The largest energy, all the devices are there in the kitchen. I think the largest hotspot of energy is the kitchen area, if you'll agree with me on that. And just imagine if you would educate the customer, they're saying, how do you make an energy efficient kitchen in terms of lighting, devices, etc. I mean, that would be a great thing to tell them, saying they go out feeling that it's not just about selling hardware and cabinetry there, but you're also looking beyond, saying how do you also add as a consumer to this community that is trying to save the planet. I think that makes a big difference. One could start by doing just about that. You can also talk about saying the lights that are used, the kind of equipment that we use are all energy efficient. In a regular time you might spend this much, and with this you're going to save this much of energy, and kind of celebrate that along with the consumer. So as a wrap up, here are the 8 points. Journey should be just as enjoyable as the destination. Get personal, be a people person, show you care, make super customers, doing is believing, what others think matters, take a break, and love your planet. So this is what empower customers, make super customers would be how to.
So my question, I'm Rishi Ahuja from Brand Interwood. As a brand which runs about 17 outlets across the country, pretty much on a 4-4 model, the one big challenge, as much as we kind of, design consistency in brand experiences, customer experiences, we have a well-mapped user journey. not as ingrained as detailed, and some of the ideas are just fantastic. And of course, there are key takeaways for us to take home and immediately implement. But the one big challenge that we do personally face, even though there is a very strong brand DNA and narrative built across the design ideology of every store, is when it comes to negotiations. Negotiations are always the challenging part, a little embarrassing. My franchise partners are all here, they will vouch for it. So even though there is a lot of narrative and marketing spin when we start off with a brand pitch, when it just kind of transcends into the last mile seal of the deal kind of a discussion, where even as much as the customer is sold out, he tries to bulldoze us and tries to kind of, not I would say rubbish, but tries to discount all the experience that he has been able to gather over the last 7, 8 rounds of discussion. So any tip, any design tip, any Marcom tip or visual communication tip that you may want to give us, so that the design of the store at that time, or some kind of an, I know commercials will do their part, sales will certainly do their part. We have a team of very voracious salespeople who kind of defend that to the T. But just to make it more make it more smooth.
It's all about value, when the value, if you buy a high-end car and they tell you about all the features, you're not likely to negotiate that much more. I think it's all about value. When they discount the value and say this is something which everybody has got, then they're going to start focusing on the price. So if you want to show the differentiator that how you different you are from other brands, make it so convenient, so good, then mentally you are more positive and flexible to agree to what you're saying, because you're getting a value. Right. So like there was this a Bentley car somewhere abroad. They said, I'll give you a free ride. You give me your number and I said, I'll give you whatever you want. So I saw value in taking that spin in that Bentley car, which I know I can never buy. But because I saw the value, I didn't negotiate. I was ready to give my details. So even in when you collect customer data, when you have the customer service thing happening, they'll give you data when they see value.
Right.
Simply anybody asks you, just buy one bottle of water and say, give me a phone number, you're not going to give. But because I worked in this mother and child segment, there the mother will give the data only if they feel that they're going to get value from you after that. So all about that value. Value is the key thing actually customers are willing to pay for.
Got it.
So if you kind of commoditize it, then they start, they're likely to negotiate, they will still negotiate, but they're likely to negotiate much harder, saying what is the big deal.
Designing value-based creatives where pronouncedly...
Communication. Right from beginning is saying you understand, what their goals in life are, what are the gains, what are the pains, and be able to write through the journey, influence them, subconsciously saying that, look, I am trying to make your life better, and by engaging with me, you're going to have a better life. It works very well. It's like Ather, if you see the bikes, 1.8 lakhs, 2 lakhs, but they are able to convince. I was just talking to somebody in Ather, I met them and saying, how do you manage to sell bikes? This is expensive. You get bikes for 60,000, 70,000, you have 1.8 lakhs. Then he's talking about all the digital blah blah which happens there and saying this is how will make your life easier. He's saying my customers don't have a problem in doing that. Then there are some pains where they have some finance options for people who want it but can't afford straight away. So that is a pain. So they have addressed that too, saying don't worry, I know you want this bike so badly, but I'm there to help you. So you pay this much, you come back later, pay whatever. So I think when I look at that carefully, otherwise if it's commoditized, straight away as a kitna mein the way. So I think that's
Thank you.
what I feel.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Manish from Hetich. I would like to ask 2 questions. One is that more digital intervention coming into the retail store in future instead of brick and mortar. And second one, will digital be more sustainable, or again brick and mortar will bounce back?
No, I think physical retail will never go. There is a saying that says physical retail will never go, but boring retail will go. So physical retail is never going to go, for sure. And customers at the end of it are engaging with the physical world, whatever you say. And we are social beings. But the reason for coming out to a shopping store has changed from many years back. You expect the shop to be much more intuitive, much more like all what I mentioned, right? You just don't want to come transactional, take something off a shelf and just walk off. It's not going to be that anymore. You would want information, insight, something that engages with you before you decide to buy the product. And you get that one window because they have choices. Sitting in the store, in the heritage store, he will be looking at other brands also. And if that store is also next to you, he will go. And if you see now, the followers are already putting the store next to the leaders. Like there's a brand called Cult Sport. Everywhere you go, they're putting stores next to Decathlon. And I went and spent about half an hour, 45 minutes looking at the merchandise, talking to the sales staff, saying, what is it that you have better than them? Then he was talking about pricing, talking about other stuff. So somebody who's not happy with Decathlon, you just turn, you see that other store, you're into that store.
Absolutely right. I was thinking to design some of the kitchen in Metaverse, and then I did some survey. So I found most of the kitchen is being finalized by the ladies of the home. And that's how, like, sari business is coming into brick and mortar only. They never buy through online. It's hardly if they're gonna gift. But the kitchen industry, I think they'll need more experience of material.
Absolutely, absolutely. But if all your consumers are also floating around in the meta world to look at brands, then you might try to influence them by going into the meta world. You can't say I can never go to the meta world. Let's say 80% of consumers are going to the meta world to make decisions which help them propel them into a physical store, then you have to be there too.
Perfect, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much for your patience and time. Thank you.